Alright troops, it's Chris Cullen here from Tired Old Hack. This is an audio commentary for the Super Mario All-Stars video VHS, which is part of my VHS preservation project. It's a pretty flashy intro, considering this is a UK only video. To the best of my knowledge, there wasn't a version of this made for the US. This was a UK only thing, so it's pretty decent CG effects for '93. And here he is, Craig Charles. For those maybe Americans who may not know, Craig Charles was the star of one of the stars of Red Dwarf, kind of British sci-fi comedy series. It's pretty big in America as well, to be fair, so you've probably seen it.
The Mario story: where, why, and how did a little Italian with a moustache become a worldwide superstar? We've got tips and tricks in the latest
Plot.
software.
It's a kind of cult game. Plot. Played it for many years, but it was good.
Excellent gear that you can get for your Super Nintendo. But first, let's get the show on the road with the Mario story. Buongiorno, prego,
Mario, the most famous plumber of all time.
This kind of footage that you keep seeing every now and then in the cartoon is from what was originally a Japanese advert and then became an American advert for basically for Super Mario All-Stars, so you can see the names of the games later on, Lost Levels and stuff like that.
Mario joined with his younger brother Luigi, and the rest is history. The follow-up game, Super Mario Bros., sold over 43 million carts worldwide. And Mario overtook
most people know this, but Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan was a totally different game. This clip's from the Super Mario Bros. 3 TV advert. Yeah, the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2 is essentially a fancy version of Super Mario Bros. 1 with harder levels, which became the Lost Levels in Mario All-Stars. Super Mario Bros. 2, the version we got in the West, was eventually released in Japan as Super Mario USA, so you didn't miss out, don't worry.
Adventures, our intrepid Brooklyn plumber has become a film star of his very own in Super Mario Bros. The movie. To mark the new stardom, Nintendo have released the Mario game to end them all, Mario All-Stars. So that now you can relive every slip into danger.
Mario, for those that don't know, I just realised, because Mario All-Stars came out, well, it's now, 24 years ago? Mario All-Stars was basically a SNES compilation of the three main Super Mario Brothers games, 1, 2 and 3 from the NES days, and Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, for the price of one game, and they were all kind of enhanced with enhanced graphics and sound, so they were pretty cool. This is the review sections where they're just kind of basically covering some other SNES games, so you could obviously get Link to the Past and stuff like that, which was big back at that particular time. This video was released as a kind of free promotional thing around about the time of All-Stars, obviously. The interesting thing about this video here is whoever captured the gameplay footage for this captured it at 30 frames a second, so you see Link disappeared there. This is one of the main reasons why I'm preserving these tapes at the full frame rate. I've kind of mentioned on the website why the frame rate's a big deal. Games ran at 50 or 60 frames a second back in the day. Or 50 or 60 hertz, I should say, back in the day, depending on where you played on PAL or NTSC systems. And a lot of effects were kind of literally every frame. So if your character took a hit and started flashing, a lot of games did the individual frames. Your character would appear, disappear, appear, disappear, and that's how they did that. So when you capture footage at a lower frame rate, as these guys in this video are doing, you get examples like Link disappearing earlier. Because he's flashing on and off, but you're only getting half the frames. You're only getting the frames where he's disappeared, so it just looks like he's completely disappeared. That's one of the main reasons why I've wanted to recapture all these videos in a full frame rate, the full 50 hertz or 60 hertz frame rate, to prevent issues like that. But obviously it can be helped if the folk who actually recorded the footage in the first place didn't do it. They've massively sped up the Starwing footage here, which is quite odd. Starwing obviously being the UK title for Star Fox.
And the FX chip allows high-speed action as never seen before. You'll need all of your game playing skills to lead your team.
It's funny how I was rich coming from a guy who spent 6 years at the official Nintendo magazine UK, but funny how Nintendo commissioned the video as reviews in it and review scores. At least O&M had like kind of our reviews were independent, but this is, I would question the veracity of these ones.
To find out what happens next.
Well, I think it's about time I beam down to meet the Hotliners.
Nintendo Hotline. Back in the day, you actually had to. There was no game FAQs or anything like that online. You actually had to phone boys up who were sitting there with basically big files full of cheats and walkthroughs, and they had to basically find the bit you were stuck at and tell you on the phone how to beat it.
Hotliner is someone who has played and completed all NES, Game Boy and Super Nintendo games, as well as helping the consumer with information on games already out and forthcoming releases.
So what's this game you're playing now?
At the moment I'm playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
He's playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo and getting paid for it. It's like he's died and gone to heaven. So what do the kids want to know about this game then?
The main question is how to do the special moves with the bosses.
Show us a move then.
What I want to show you is the torpedo roll using Bison. What you have to do is hold back for 2 seconds and forward punch.
Marvellous. The Hotliners on average take 1,400 calls a day. That's 10,000 calls a week. That's over 500,000 calls a year. That's a whole lot of yak, yak, yak.
A whole lot of money made as well doing it.
Oh, you got some cobwebs on you. How long have you been here?
3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
So what's your favourite game at the moment then?
My favourite game at the moment must be Starwing.
Starwing, good game, good game.
Bad.
Come here. Have you been on Games Master and Games World and all that?
I've done my bid.
So you're a bit of a megastar then?
Well, you know.
Tell me, let me on the gen. What would I have to do to be a Hotliner?
I'll take you on all wing.
Under your wing.
Years of training.
Look at young Craig Charles.
Day.
Synchronicity.
He's still, obviously, Red Dwarf's still on the go. There's a new series starting soon, so one of the greatest shows ever made, which is
Caring, loving.
lovely. It was interesting as well how this Nintendo UK hotline, they've got both a UK and a North American Super Nintendo there, which is quite interesting. You can see right next to the TV there's a kind of purple, white and purple US SNES, which is interesting.
Okay, I haven't got the big-time edge. I haven't got the total coordination and communication skills you need to make it as a Hotliner. I can live with that. Time to review some games.
Here's Aladdin. It's interesting when Disney started licensing some of its games. Capcom got the license to do Disney games, but only for Nintendo systems. So that's why you had on the NES, Capcom had made loads of Disney games like DuckTales and Darkwing Duck and Tailspin, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and that extended to the Super Nintendo. So you had Aladdin, a Mickey Mouse game, stuff like that. But yeah, that license for Capcom only extended to Nintendo games. So on the Mega Drive, the Genesis, if you're American, the Aladdin game was completely different, made by Virgin Interactive instead. So people argue over about which was the best game. I think the SNES game was more fun. The Mega Drive game looked better.
Championship racing. It's the best simulator available for the Super Nintendo at this time. Get a chance to race all 16 courses around the world. The weather is constantly changing from sunny to cloudy.
It's the most exciting man of all
You
time.
get a chance to change your tyres, your aerofoils and your engines in your car. The speed and graphics on this game are amazing. Basically play the game and you'll see what I believe.
A new cold hero
Here's
hits the
Plock.
screens in the form of Plock. How do you describe Plock? Well, basically, he throws his arms and legs at the enemy. Plock is a massive cartoon platform game with incredible music and stunning graphics. Not only will this
I wonder
game
where they
be
got
number
these
one in
people
the
from.
game chart, but #1 in the music chart as well.
I wonder if they're Nintendo Hotliners or something.
The Lost Vikings, Olaf, Eric and Balog, have got to find their way back to their village. This may sound easy, but it's not. They've actually been walked through time and space. They've got to get through 37
Lost Vikings was
different
made
and
by
6 different worlds. They've got to combine the 3 skills of all the
a company who
Vikings
would eventually
to test
become
puzzling
Blizzard,
strength.
believe it or not.
This is Bubsy's
There's
first
Bubsy the
adventure on
Bobcat.
Super Nintendo,
Um,
called Claws Encounters of the Third
famously
Kind.
one of the most annoying
On this Bobcat's
uh,
travels, he has to avoid many
2D
pitfalls
platform
while
heroes of all time.
yarn balls.
Obviously, Bubsy's coming back as well
The 16 meg cart
pretty soon, which
with
is
great music and
which I'm
graphics.
pretty sure nobody asked for, but he's coming back anyway. So there you go.
Nintendo.
This was a really annoying game. It had loads of annoying grainy sound samples, and lots of kind of leaps of faith where you didn't know where you had to go next, so you just to kind of jump off ledges and hope for the best.
With you is how they fit all the music, visuals, excitement, and all-round top-quality entertainment into one tiny cartridge.
So how did we get all of that into this?
I think an interesting
It's a cringe.
First of all,
This is Gremlin Graphics,
shall we do a racing game?
yeah, I did a lot of games back in the 90s, mostly Amiga stuff, but yeah, this was, they did Nigel Mansell's World Championships. This is basically the making of that game. It's actually quite interesting to see how a SNES game was put together, because there weren't many behind the scenes things back then. Although interesting, but at the same time there's something quite cringeworthy about these execs trying to sound cool and hip.
Takes a Game Boy with him wherever he goes, and soon we had Nigel on board as well. So we were there. We knew we were doing a Nigel Mansell racing game. What we're going to do now is James is going to take us around the building and show us how from that point did we develop the game.
Okay, now we've decided to go ahead and produce the Mansell game. We've actually done all the design work. The next stage is to start the programming. We have the computer on which the code's being written. The code that we write ends up in that box over there. That box is our version of the Super Nintendo.
The debug basically, it's a brief glimpse at a SNES debug machine.
What it allows us to do is continually change the program that's running. So this is what's in the cartridge. That code there on that screen translates into this on your Super Nintendo. This is actually the original road that's used in the Nigel Mansell game. The game is nowhere near complete, but we have the actual basic road. When we were developing the Nigel Mansell game, the road was the most important thing. You've got a smooth and fast road.
I'm wondering if that's Mode 7?
Particularly with something like a Grand Prix game. To get this far took us, probably about 6 or 7 months.
Maybe not, because it
the next
bends.
stage was producing the car graphics, the roadside objects, backdrops, all the other support graphics for the game. And that's what we're going to show you next. Everything that you see in the game will at some point have to be drawn. We actually have to draw the car with every wheel position to add realism to the actual game itself.
The Nigel Mansell game is actually quite good for its time. It was quite a, obviously compared to modern racing games like recent F1 2017, it's obviously quite primitive, but back then it was pretty impressive. And also brilliant adverts. They had an ad campaign with Rick Mail, the late and great Rick Mail, pretending to be Nigel Mansell, which is quite funny. They're worth YouTubing, looking up on YouTube at some point. The Nigel Mansell, Rick Mail adverts, they were kind of quirky sense of humour. They were quite funny.
Which we're adding to the car graphics, anything for realism. Whilst the rest of the team are working on the programming and finishing off the graphics for our game, here in the studio, Pat's working on the music and sound effects. Could we have a listen to some of the music, please, Pat?
Certainly. Once I've composed the music, it's built up of tracks similar to this.
Yeah!
Okay, could we listen to a sound effect now, please, Pat? In an effort to create as much realism as possible, we asked Renault to record the engine sound from the actual F1 car itself. And this is the sound effect that we use within the game. So we've got the program, the graphics, the music and sound effects. Let's go and test that game. What we do is arrange for the programmer to send the finished game down to this machine. And using this machine, we actually load the program up into these two chips. These chips now contain the whole game. The games are put into a cartridge, into a prototype cartridge, and then these are given to the testers to test. Here in Gremlin's
You see a Zool poster there. Zool was one of Gremlin's biggest games. I don't know why they've got a Street Fighter 2 poster there as well, maybe just for a laugh. But yeah, Zool was one of Gremlin's, but there was their kind of platform hero. It was a ninja ant from the nth dimension. Then had a sequel called Zool 2 where he was joined by a woman ant called Zoos. The glory days. I think they've given it a review right after they've visited the offices and everything.
Hey, come here. This is between me and you, right? What I want to know is, how can you cheat at some of the games? Don't breathe a word.
Super Mario All-Stars. On the Lost Levels, World 1, Level 1, if you want to get some extra lives, this is what you
Some
have
useful
to do.
tips, these, keep your eyes open.
Go to the first set of blocks and bash the second block to uncover the hidden mushroom. Bounce it with your head over the end block, leaving the Koopa inside.
Especially because Lost Levels is one of the hardest
Mushroom,
Mario
being
games,
very
is
careful not to
actually
spot
really
the
useful.
screen past the row of blocks. Now break the first block and the third block and leave the Koopa patrolling on the fourth. Jump through the gap you've made and remove the 3 blocks from above your head. Now carefully make a small jump onto the Koopa. Mario should bounce on and off, eventually clocking up 1-ups. Leave it to carry on until the time runs out.
There's also a variation on the Super Mario Bros. 1 has a similar one where you can jump on a Koopa Troopa on a staircase and do the same sort of
The way to
thing.
get to the end is to stay along the bottom until you've heard a high-pitched beep. Then
These
stay
ones
on
were
the bottom
annoying,
again
like there's a
until you hear
few
another
boss battles
beep. Now
in
go all the way to the top and
Super
stay
Mario
there until you hear 2 more
and
beeps.
the Lost Levels that did this where you had to go a
Whilst going
certain
on the
path
top,
to trigger it.
find a jump
But
that's
in the
very hard to
original
make.
ones, the NES and the
Jump down to the
Famicom
floor,
Disk System ones, it
find
didn't
4
make a
hidden
noise.
blocks. You can now use these to
So
get back up
for the
to
longest
top
time I
routes
was
to
stuck
make
because I
your
didn't
way to the
realise that
end.
it was actually, you had to go a set route
On
because it
Mario
used
2,
to,
World
the
1,
original ones
Level
didn't
3,
make a wee chime, so
go
that was a
to the
good
end of
kind
the
of
level
addition in Mario
and
All
get the
Stars. It
last
made a wee
potion
chime to
before
tell you
the
were doing the
door.
right thing.
Carry it past the door and throw it down near the pot. Then enter subspace and go down the pipe whilst you're in subspace, and this will now warp you to World 4. Mario 3. On Mario 3, World 1, Level 3, you'll find near the end of a level a white rectangular block in the air.
It's a classic.
Jump
This is the
onto
one
this
that
and kick the turtle
did
off.
the rounds in every
Now
playground
kneel
up
down on the
and
block
down the
until you
country.
fall through and land behind the scenery. Now run to the right as if you were going to complete the level, but instead of finishing the level, it will take you to a secret mushroom house, and inside this mushroom house is a warp whistle.
Of course, the trick was to get 2 warp whistles and blow them one after the other, and that would take you to
When you
World
get
8.
to level 3 of Plock,
Here it is.
go to near the end
Yeah, I
of the level
never.
and look out for the arrow.
Clock was
pointing
okay, but it's got like a
downwards.
real cult following of
Jump
people who
down
absolutely
shoot
love
the
it and
plum
would
in
love
the
to see
tree
it back.
3
But
times. This will take you to a
it
bonus
was okay.
stage. You now have to beat the timer in this bonus stage to get warped to the end of the island. To get the best out of your games, you should try your hand with the Scoremaster. Designed for use on the desktop, the arcade-style Scoremaster has a responsive 8-way joystick with 6 buttons. These are oversized for ease of use and have an auto-fire switch for each button. The Scoremaster also features a slow-motion operation with 2
This is
sticks.
going on in the background. You've
So
got
whether it's
Battletoads
quick,
playing in
quick
slow
or
motion, which is why the
slow,
sound's all
the
messed up.
Scoremaster will put an extra kick into your game. There is also a great accessory known as the Nintendo Scope. This is an amazing
Nintendo
piece
Scope,
of kit
aka the
with
Super Scope, was
infrared
really
firing
weird.
machine, laser accurate to 1 television pixel. There are some great games specially designed for
I mean,
this
Yoshi's
ballistic
Safari was
shooter,
good,
like Battle Clash and Yoshi Safari.
but they
Why not get one for your shoulder
came with a
and
weird
start
kind of
blasting?
6-in-1 thing. It had a weird kind of variation of Tetris where you had to shoot the blocks instead. It was quite weird.
Tell you thrill seekers, but it's time for me to go. Have fun.
And there we have it. That's the Super Mario All Stars video. I quite liked it, as you can tell by the odd bits of interference there in the video. That this is a video I watched a hell of a lot. This is my own copy of it. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. This is the first video upload I've done. The aim is to preserve a lot more of these videos going forward, so hopefully you enjoyed this. Give me some feedback. And yeah, a lot more to come. A lot more where this came from. Do check TyrellHack.com for more information on this project and how you can help. If you've got videos of your own, how you can help me out. But until then, thanks for watching, folks. Bye bye.